Good morning. You're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. Well, today's a beautiful rainy day. I'm inside, I'm making a cup of tea, and I wanted to share with you a story from my past, from my Appalachian past. So today we're going to have Appalachian story time, and I'm going to share with you one of my favorite things. Now, as I make my cup of tea, I wanted to share with you what my husband bought. He brought me a year's supply of a variety of teas. I've already tried these two right here. But now I've got to clean out my tea cabinet and get these things situated. But how sweet. He knows me well, doesn't he? What a sweet gift. So now I've got a whole year's supply of tea. Plus the tea, herbs and things that I've harvested to make my own tea. This morning I think I'm going to try one of the gunpowder greens. And some clarity and calm. I'm going to try that this morning. That's what we're going to have, that I'm going to have for tea. You grab your favorite beverage and join me, and let me tell you an Appalachian story. I think most of you know, if you watch my videos, if you've been around a while, you know that my mother's had health issues. She's had a series of mini strokes, and she's just battling for her health right now. And so I've been spending a lot of time with Mama, more than I normally do. And if you watch my videos, you know I have a video on introducing you to my Appalachian Mama. Well, this is a story about her and my dad and myself and my sister growing up. I just wanted to share it with you. As I spend a lot of time with Mama, it's bringing back memories and things that I love about her. Now, I haven't been able to post on my regular schedule, and I've tried to keep up with that on the community tab. But my one day that I have off during the week, I've been spending that with Mama, and then taking whatever other day that I can to go up. And she lives quite a ways from me to drive up there and spend with her. And so it's my time has really been stretched thin. But I'm doing the best I can to get you scheduled videos and to try to at least to share some things with you as I go along on this journey. Well, I want to give you a little bit of background on my mom and dad. This is a picture of them not long after they were married. They had a fancy wedding that consisted of going to the courthouse and getting married. My dad was only 17 years old, and my mom was 18 years old. And this is the picture of them when they first got married. They were very young. They were just teenagers. Well, Mom and Dad, when they got married, Mom was from the Appalachian Mountains, and my dad was from Mount Airy, the town that Andy Griffith's TV series was based on. That's where my dad grew up. In fact, his mother, my grandma, actually went to school with Andy Griffin. So that's something, isn't it? Mama was from the higher up in the Appalachian Mountains, deeper in the Appalachian Mountains, and my dad was from what they call the flatlands there in Mount Airy. Well, Dad seemed to be, there was 10 children in Mama's family, plus her oldest daughter's son. There was 13 of them living in a household. Dad, there was 4 of them. He had 3 brothers and sisters, and then himself. And he grew up in a tiny little cottage there in the city of Mount Airy, the town of Mount Airy. He grew up in a tiny cottage, and that little cottage is still in our family today. It was a little 2-bedroom cottage there. Well, Daddy, he seemed to have more of an affluent lifestyle than Mama. How they met was Mama took outside jobs to help with her family, to help with their income. And when she was 17 years old, she took a job ironing, pressing clothes for Daddy's mother. Well, of course, Mom and Daddy met, and that's the beginning of their story. And they got married. And when they got married, in an effort to go and find a job that paid more than what was locally available there, they moved to Maryland for a little while. They went to Maryland because there was rumors that there were plenty of jobs and money to be made in Maryland. So when Mom and Daddy got married, they took off up to Maryland to try to find jobs and make a better life for themselves. On that trip to Maryland, which they took on a bus, a Greyhound bus, they found a place to stay and they got work. Well, Daddy bought Mama a wedding gift, and that's what this story is about. And that wedding gift was this wedding doll, and her name was Bonnie. And Bonnie's a pretty good-sized doll. She's pretty big. Now, I can only tell you the stories that I'm familiar with. I can tell you the stories that surrounded me and the customs and the things that went on as I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains. I can only tell you the things that I know about. And then sometimes when I read and hear and the customs and the things are the same, it just, I feel such a connection with the Appalachian community because of the way I was raised. Now, Daddy bought Mama this doll. She was beautiful in a box. This was a bride doll, and that was his wedding gift to her. Now, she did have a veil, a beautiful veil, and she was a beautiful bright white, and she had little shoes, little high-heel shoes on when Daddy bought Mama this doll. And she was in a beautiful box and had a cellophane front, and it showed this beautiful doll. Well, when things didn't work out for Mom and Daddy in Maryland, Mama carried this doll in her box on that Greyhound bus and clung to this doll as they came back home to find work and to visit their family that they missed very much and to reconnect. When they came back and she brought this doll, Daddy's wedding gift to her, she brought it back. Well, in the Appalachians, my great-grandma, the one I always tell you about, the one who raised the flowers and made the biscuits, who cooked biscuits for us when she was 98 years old in her wood stove, had an outhouse, and lived to be 104 years old. That great-grandma, I always tell you about, on her bed, she always had a doll. And it was a custom in Appalachia that many women, whenever they made up their bed, with a blanket that they called a counterpane. That's what I grew up with, only Mama and her family always called them counterpins. That was what she called the bedspread, or the fancy blanket that she put on her top blanket that she put on her bed. And on the bed was this doll. She always put this doll in the middle of her bed. Well, needless to say, here's a picture of my sister, my older sister, me, and my brother that's 2 years younger than me, when there was just 3 of us. Now, later, Mama would have another daughter, my youngest sister, and another son. But when this was just the 3 of us, this is the memories that I have the most of playing with that doll. That doll's name was Bonnie. And right here you can see the old iron bed and the counterpin. And that was Mama's bed. We were all sitting on Mama's bed to take this picture. When I was this age, and Mama would make up the bed and put that doll on the bed. This doll's name was Bonnie. Her name was Bonnie when she was bought in the box, and so we've always called her Bonnie. But when Mama would make up her bed and put this doll on the bed, oh, my sister, my oldest sister, and I would sneak in there and just play with Bonnie. She was so beautiful. We just thought she was beautiful, and she was almost as big as we were. And this was like the best thing there ever was. This was like a joy. I mean, we'd sit on that bed and play with her for hours. And sometimes Mama would come in there and say, "Get down, leave her alone. quit messing up the bed, get down. And then sometimes she would just leave us in there and let us play with Bonnie all day. And we loved this doll. She wasn't ours, she was Mama's. So we had to take really good care of her. And it was a special treat to get to play with her. Now later, as we got older, of course her shoes are missing, but I painted her toenails. I just jazzed Bonnie up. And I painted her fingernails. This doll has a special, it just has a special place in my heart, and it does Mama's too. She will sometimes ask me if I still have Bonnie, and I always tell her yes. And whenever she visits me, she wants to look at Bonnie because it brings back good memories for her. It's just a simple object, isn't it? But it's something that's been in our family for a long time, and it has good memories for her and good memories for me. I'm going to put Mama and Daddy's picture back up here. But this beautiful doll that I have such sweet memories of, and that Mama has such sweet memories of, a remnant from the past that's just a sweet reminder of a precious and early time in Mama's life and mine too. Now, I do not let my grandchildren play with this doll. I do not let her play with Bonnie. Bonnie is my and Mama's and my oldest sister's memory. She's ours and ours to be protected. And her dress is very fragile and it's tattered some here. So she just sits on a shelf in there, and we don't play with Bonnie anymore. And I don't let my grandchildren play with her. I try to let them make their own memories with other things that are mine. And I don't let them play with this, but one day I will give this to one of those grandchildren that takes an interest in Bonnie. But the memories of jumping up in that bed after Mama made it up and laid Bonnie on the bed and just playing with her is a precious memory to me. And I wanted to share that with you today. I wanted to share that memory that I have of this bride doll and what's left of her outfit. I wanted to share it with you. It was a common thing for women in the Appalachians to have bride dolls when they got married. My aunt had one. Most of my aunts had one. One aunt on Daddy's side, and then several of them on Mama's side had bride dolls. All of different, they looked very different. They didn't all look the same. Now here's an example of a bride doll that would have been in our family, that one of our family members had. And I was able to be gifted this little bride doll. She's been taken much better care of. She still has her little shoes and her little garter belt. Isn't that funny? She still has her veil and her bouquet. Now, this one doesn't mean as much to me because it's not my mom's. It's not the one my mother took care of and put on her bed and that I played with when I was little. But this is just an example of one of the bride dolls that you might see back in that day when these were a sweet gift. Now, Donald's family has a sweet story about the Appalachians tradition of getting a bride doll on your wedding day. But this one wasn't about a wedding day. There were 3 sisters and 1 brother in Donald's mother's family. And the youngest sister got a bride doll for Christmas. She got a little bride doll. And the oldest sister snuck up in the middle of the night and changed the tags. She put her name on the doll that she got on the bride doll, and she put the youngest sister's name on the other doll. So when they got up that morning, Kathleen was the one that got the bride doll. Because that was important to little girls back then. They dreamed of weddings, and all of this was beautiful. And it was funny that Kathleen got the bride doll that was not intended for her. but that she wanted it so bad that she snuck up and changed the tags under the tree so that she would get the bride doll. It's just a sweet little tradition I thought I'd share with you. If you grew up in the Appalachians and you remember a bride doll or any kind of doll being on your parents' or your family member's bed, share that memory with me. I'd enjoy hearing about it. And if there are you that didn't grow up in the Appalachian Mountains, and there are others of you that have traditions in your family that are similar concerning a doll or a sweet story, I'd like to hear that too. Thank you for joining me today. And like always, until next time.